Picture this. You're the big boss of an organization running the show in a fancy place of your choosing. Let's go ahead and pick New York, because who doesn't love a good slice of pizza, am I right? Now, here's the deal. You've got a big problem to tackle. We're talking about the homeless crisis. It's time to put on your thinking caps and come up with a solution. And no, before you ask, you can't just donate your mansion and hit the pavement. Nice try though. So, let's get real and put our heads together to figure out a practical approach to this critical issue. You might construct homeless shelters. You may prepare and serve food to the hungry. Whatever it may be, you are a kind, noble person doing good with much work ahead of you. To address the current homelessness epidemic, you must provide each of the 100,000 homeless people in New York City with food, water, warmth, and a place to live. This number includes children. These are all a large sum of money. Are you earning that much? Fortunately, the City of New York receives an annual slush fund of $2.6 billion to address the homelessness issue. Consider how much money that is. $2.6 billion for 100,000 individuals equals $26,000 for everyone now sleeping on New York streets. $26,000. In addition, there are currently 350,000 vacant units waiting to be occupied. They may need some cleaning and no one lives there, so they should be cleaned up. The price per homeless person is $26 million. This is true whether there are 350 vacant units or 100,000 people on the waiting list. We've got a bit of a dilemma on our hands. See, if we actually solve the homelessness crisis, we wouldn't require a $2.4 billion slush, and let's not forget about these lavish million-dollar salaries we're all enjoying, am I right? So, what's a wealthy, well-off, and totally not greedy person supposed to do in this situation? It's a real head-scratcher. Some people seem to be more interested in profiting from the homelessness crisis than actually solving it. By providing the bare minimum of assistance and then charging the city exorbitant amounts of money, these individuals can silently siphon off as much cash as possible. And the worst part, they get to act like saints while doing it. Unfortunately, no one wants to speak out against these profiteers, which is why homelessness in New York remains such a massive issue despite the huge budget set aside for it. So, the question is, are you part of the solution or part of the problem? At the Department of Homeless Service DHS shelter system in New York City, 102,656 various homeless adults and children slept through the city's fiscal year 2022. Included in this are 29,653 homeless kids. Most families who check into shelters are from a few closely knit zip codes in New York City's most impoverished areas. Nonetheless, before entering shelters, homeless couples, families, and single adults come from every neighborhood area in NYC. According to studies, most unsheltered homeless people in New York City have a mental illness or other serious health issue. Homelessness has a disproportionately negative impact on Black and Hispanic New Yorkers. In shelters, the heads of the households comprise of 56% of the population, 32% are Hispanic or Latino, 7% are white, less than 1% are Asian American or Native American, and 4% are unspecified racial or ethnic origin. The culprit behind this scam is none other than Victor Rivera, the former CEO of the Bronx Parent Housing Network. This non-profit founder has admitted to accepting bribes from contractors and using organizations to launder the money. He's set to receive a well-deserved prison sentence and has agreed to provide the shelter charity with $902,000. Mr. Rivera's rise to power was fueled by the increasing number of people using the city's homeless shelters and living on the streets. However, his empire quickly crumbled after a New York Times investigation revealed that he had been operating the non-profit with almost complete impunity, using funds intended for the organization to amass his wealth. In addition, 10 women, including homeless women and employees, had accused him of sexual assault and harassment. Looks like karma has finally caught up with him. The best way to address the homeless situation is to establish close friendships with the most influential members of your community, including the mayor, the city council chairman, and whoever else is in charge of running your city. This is due to the limited number of contracts the city can offer for housing the homeless, the influence these powerful individuals have over who receives these lucrative contracts, and the fact that they are fully aware of how profitable these contracts are. Plan your way into their social circles because they are searching for someone who knows the game as well as they do and who they can trust to give them some of the money for the homeless once you get your grubby little paws on it. The best way to take them into your pocket and become successful in life in general is to make these influential individuals owe you a favor. attend the same party system, donate to their foundation, they must have one, buy them a few thoughtful presents, whatever it takes. Make an effort to learn what they are suffering for. Perhaps they'd like to have a chat with their child's favorite YouTuber. Maybe you could pay that YouTuber to send the kid a video or their selfie. Thus, the gesture needs not be significant, rather it should be so unexpected and touching that your target will beg you to tell them how they might repay the favor. Once you have that, you're all set. Another scam story about helping the homeless is the story about a non-profit in the Bronx. The non-profit received more than $10 million from New York City in the middle of the 2010s to house, feed, and offer social services to families at a 100-room homeless shelter. ETHEL Denise Perry, executive director of the non-profit, used the funds for membership at the gym, her auto loan, and shopping excursions at upscale stores including Bergdorf Goodman, Bloomingdale's, Ferragamo, Neiman Marcus, Manolo Blahnik, and Tiffany's. She placed her brother and nephew on the non-profit Millennium Care's payroll. Ms. Perry, 66, confessed to using nearly $1 million in personal credit card debt to pay for it all, according to a plea agreement she filed with the State Attorney's General Office on Friday. Beyond the money she was paid by Millennium Care, she took $2,394,169. She continued to cheat authorities even after the Attorney General Office pursued her for failing to file taxes 3 years in a row, prematurely declaring, for example, $31,358 in income for 2015. However, Millennium Care paid her over $700,000 as per the agreement. The nonprofit had no board of directors and failed to submit required financial reports to the state and the IRS. According to the plea deal, it carried out its business in a persistently illegal manner, all of which allowed Ms. Perry to utilize it as her piggy bank. Ms. Perry, who owns 2 homes in the Bronx and operates a dancing studio, is the most recent manager of a city homeless shelter to be found to have engaged in financial misconduct. Under the plea agreement, Ms. Perry admitted to tax fraud and Millennium Care admitted grand theft before the state Supreme Court in Manhattan. Ms. Perry was given a 5-year probationary term and ordered to pay $1.1 million in fines and taxes. Millennium Care will be dissolved after paying $2,394,169 fine, exactly how much Ms. Perry overpaid herself. Like it did when Ms. Perry was in charge of it, the shelter is currently maintained by Acacia Network, one of the largest shelter providers in the city, and it still houses families without young children. In a lawsuit filed in 2013, Acacia claimed that Millennium Care owed it $654,000 for social services rendered at the shelter. The money was subsequently reimbursed by Millennium, according to an Acacia representative. There are numerous cases just like these. It's easy to see the greed and corruption that can come with handling funds intended for helping the homeless. But it's more important to remember that there are people out there who are truly in need, people who are struggling to make ends meet, to put food on the table, and to have a roof over their heads. We all have a responsibility to help those less fortunate than ourselves, and to do so with compassion and honesty. Now, you've got some seriously practical tips to tackle the homeless issue. Be sure to always be on the lookout for fraudulent organizations. Together, we can create a world where homelessness is not a problem anymore, but a thing of the past. Let's work together to make that a reality. Thank you for watching.